Last time when I reacted on Shweta Gangwar's video on Awkward Goat, I opened a can of worms, I think, because the comments on that video were incessant, and I thought that I stepped on the wrong neighborhood in internet. But it's fun because it gives you an opportunity to engage. And one person, one guy in that video, he recommended a channel to me, a video to me by this creator known as Andrew Wilson. I do not know of this person, and this is the first time I watched any content of his, and I am reacting to him as I am seeing him for the first time. So there is no preparation, but I think this is a good chance for me to engage in a dialogue, not because I genuinely believe that I can change people, because people believe in what is convenient for them. But I do truly think that he says certain things that are extremely easy to negate and to falsify. That is what I try to do. English is not my first language, and I'm not American, so don't judge my accent too much. Just listen to it and with an open mind. But I don't take these videos in a good faith normally, because any person who's coming to you and telling you that you are a second class citizen should not be taken in good faith. But with an honest intention to engage in a dialogue, I have reacted to his video. And I recently saw Shwetab's latest video in which he addresses Awkward Goat's story and all of that. I didn't see all of it, but I saw a portion where he says that she accused a lot of his followers for being incels or for being misogynistic. I don't want to get into the beef between two creators because I don't know what has happened behind the scenes, and I don't think Shwetab's content has been, from whatever I have seen, I would classify that as misogynist. I do have my reservations on some of his takes, but it's in some forms very has been very helpful to me. But a lot of his followers, I still do believe, have very misogynistic idea, and the video that I am about to react on is it is nothing less than misogyny. If you say that that video is not misogyny, then I don't know what is. But that video has been recommended to me by someone I assume came to my reaction channel because he saw Shwetab in the thumbnail. So I'm assuming this is one of his followers who recommended this video to me. Please watch the reaction for yourself. Thank you.
It operates around something which is patrilineal lineage rather than
Alright, so I apparently opened a can of worms last time by reacting to Shwetab, and someone in the comment section sent me this video, and now we are going to react to this video. I'm going to try to make it 1.5. Let's jump ahead. Let's start. Ready, steady, go.
historic definition. It means rule of the father. I often will short phrase this to from the father. Usually it operates around something which is patrilineal lineage rather than matrilineal lineage, though not always. You can have patriarchies where there's matrilineal lineage. You can find this in Judaism and other places like this. When I talk about patriarchy, I'm broadly speaking, at least in modernity and in the last 100 years, about men being in charge of general systems. You can just say men being in charge of general systems, head of the household.
And men systematically disenfranchising women. Men systematically taking away the right of women to participate in society. So men being in charge and then men throwing women away. Okay. Man, come on.
Head of the family, things like this. My view is that patriarchy is always going to end up being the default, especially the more feminism there is. You'll push more people into the patriarchy role, and here's why. Because of forced doctrine. Forced doctrine is a doctrine which I came up with, which
he came up with. He has written it or thought of it.
Tries to describe a phenomenon which you yourself are going to have to concede is true. That half of the world right now, if men decide to, they can basically exterminate every single woman inside of their nations, and there's not a damn thing women can do about it. We can find this in most of the Middle Eastern nations. We can find this basically anywhere that we look, right? They can't actually do anything about it. Also,
so this is is this a threat that we could do whatever the fuck we wanted to do to you, and you would not be able to do something about it? if the top, first of all, this is extremely hypothetical and silly to assume that half of the world is going to think in one way. However, because men have themselves started this system where they took away the rights from women, this, what he's saying, actually is not a flex. This would have been a flex if there was a fair competition on both sides and then whoever won collectively decided to terminate the rest of the population. This is not a flex. Number two, men need women like women need men. Number three, just since he is being hypothetical, I also want to be hypothetical. If the top 10% of the most powerful men and women, or let's say men, top 10% of the world's most powerful men decided to terminate the rest of the rest of the men will not be able to do anything about it. As he says, they actually can't do anything about it. And this is happening in small ways every day throughout the world. So, when he speaks like that to men, he generates a feeling that there is this side which has all the power and all men belong to this side. All men have never been equal and they will never be equal. And what men can do to women, according to him, more powerful men can do the same thing to less powerful men. So this argument doesn't make sense for me.
When it comes to rights, rights are a social construction, product of the mind. Because of that, they are not inherent. And since this is the case, force is what is the practical act.
Rights are a product of the mind. The mic that he is using to talk, the table he is sitting on, poetry, religions, architecture, social construct, patriarchy are all products of the mind, and mind occurs naturally in nature. So nature has given the mind the capacity to create products. So the things that the mind creates, do they actually belong to nature? He is entering the zone of philosophy where he can get really abstract without it meaning much and he can get away with it. Rights are a product of society. So what do you recommend? We go back to slavery? What is he trying to... And do you think if you went back to slavery, most men will end up as slave owners or most of them will end up as slaves? The fact that as a man you should listen to this and be able to relate to it, it's bizarre to me. And he is a white man, and perhaps if he believes what he is saying right now, he has a little bit of an excuse for being ignorant because he is white. But if an Indian man, because an Indian guy recommended this video to me, or an African American or a black man is watching this and is somehow able to relate, feeling that, oh, rights are a social fucking construct. Yeah, you have rights because society evolved to a point where they decided every life has dignity. It's a very small portion of population throughout history that had rights, and it was mostly white men, and not all white men, like very few. Okay, we lost what he's saying. Force is practical. I already said that is very stupid.
Applicator. And if men decided to, by force, take away women's rights, women cannot do anything about it.
If very rich billionaire men decided to take the rights of a 9-to-5 man, he cannot do anything about it. This argument is ridiculous because this is a false equivalence, as they say. Okay.
The opposite is not true. If women wanted to take away men's rights and men didn't want to let them, they could not. And because of this forced doctrine application, women's rights all come from men, not inherently from themselves.
In a society that is essentially patriarchal, since men already have secured all the rights for themselves, women have to fight for those rights from men. In a society of white supremacists, because most black people have been stripped of their rights, black people have to take their rights away, take their rights back again from white men. This is not because white men or men in general are inherently better, it's because they have managed to steal the things that didn't belong to them unfairly. So those things that have been stolen now have to be taken back.
Therefore, feminism is a lie.
Okay.
Complete lie. That's first doctrine. I don't know if you have anything to say about it.
Okay, the black rights movement is also a complete lie. Because if it wasn't for white people willing to give you the rights, if it wasn't for higher caste men willing to give the rights to the men of lower caste in India, they would not have rights. So the caste rights movement is a lie. What kind of bullshit is this?
Well, aside from the fact that that is genuinely a terrifying idea, I think that...
And it's illogical. Not only is it terrifying, it's not logical.
The idea that men could just take away our rights and wipe us away is why feminism is necessary, is because we are trying to get enough men, I suppose, on our side, if you think about it in terms of like a military occupation, so that that wouldn't happen. Because I think that...
Okay, so she also believes that we need men to protect us from the men who are trying to harm us. Okay.
It is possible for men to take away our rights at a blanket pace. But I don't...
No. You know what? Do it. Don't sit there and say, oh, we men. Men is not a monolith. Like women is not a monolith. But if you do believe that all men could group together and do this, then do it. Sitting on a table and acting like...
Your conclusion based off that premise, though. I don't believe that women inherently don't have rights that is given to us by men.
Inherently is debatable. Human beings understood that we cannot organize societies in a way that there is very obvious bullying of one gender or one caste or one race over the other, because that is not a sustainable system, because the race or the gender or the caste that is being bullied will eventually strike back. So that's the logic. Society cannot be created by taking away systematically the rights of people. Carl Jung, by the way, this is a psychoanalyst. He said man, but when he says man, he means people. Man doesn't stand his own annihilation forever. So this applies to people. No human being is designed in a way that they will stand their own annihilation forever. They will strike back. Okay.
Reason why is because I believe that all human beings inherently should have equality and human dignity, which is although I'm not Catholic, it's a term that was very much focused on in my Catholic high school. I went to public school and then Catholic high school.
About
human dignity.
It's just axiomatic.
Yeah, I mean, it's still like important though to me, because I think that because the societies that we have created have necessitated the need, or have created the need for laws and for structure in government. And so there are many philosophers that have talked about how important it is to have government, right? But because of the fact that men can take it away does not mean that men thus give to us, right? Like, men are not gods. It is something that is inherent to each of us, that we should have the ability to live and self-govern, have autonomy. And I think the fact that men could take it away actually goes to my point about how a lot of them do, and a lot of them try to take our autonomy and make us feel unsafe and harm us, which you were previously refuting, but actually seems like you agree with me on that it's a possibility for men.
So he was refusing. He was like, no, us men are so nice. But if we wanted to, we could wipe all of you. What the fuck is this?
To do that.
No, it's descriptively true. I'm not getting an ought, I'm getting a descriptive.
Also descriptively true that a man more powerful than you could wipe you out, and nobody would give a shit, and people would move on. That's just life. People don't all have the same power.
Reality.
But because it's a descriptive reality,
the truth is that you appeal to patriarchy.
I have no idea. I have not said the appeal to patriarchy. What are you talking about?
When you said the whole goal is to get more men on our side, you're appealing to a patriarchy.
Well, it's not the whole goal, but it's a goal. Yes, I should correct myself.
And so what you're trying to do is you're trying to appeal to the very demographic which can take away your rights at any time, conceding that if you do not have them on your side, you cannot maintain your rights. That is not ever true of men, which is why you...
Yes, actually, which is why so much effort and so many resources are spent over centuries. So many religions try so hard to indoctrinate women into believing that all of their worth comes from what a man perceives them to be. And that is, you look at the anti-aging industry, look at the skincare industry. These industries are thriving because women have been brainwashed into believing that their worth comes from what men think of them. And if it was the natural truth, then why does it need such extensive brainwashing in terms of industries, in terms of religion, in terms of podcasts like this? I don't understand.
Always end up with a default patriarchy, the more feminists push. I don't know if you're looking at the modern world now.
The modern world.
So, by the way, when African Americans, the enslaved Americans, were trying to fight for their freedom, a lot of the similar arguments were made. So it amazes me when a non-white person, non-white men, feel sympathetic to arguments like these. It's like the cognitive dissonance is unbelievable.
Because not necessarily a default.
It's always going to be a default.
Well, in a lot of tribes, they were very...
I already said 10 million times that it's not like that, and he's repeating the same sentence. I just want to move ahead.
Matriarchal, and like women were at the head of the family.
There's never been a matriarchy in the world.
That is not true at all.
Give me one.
Oh my god, read a fucking book. Please, I'm not going to say anything. There's never been a matriarchy in the world is false. Please, just Google it.
Okay, I will look it up.
It's going to be an Indian tribe, and I'll refute it. Watch.
Well, indigenous people largely have.
Okay, he says it's going to be an Indian tribe. I'm assuming he means like the native Indians. I don't know which Indians he's talking about.
If you didn't try, I'm not going to refute it.
I think you should.
See, he doesn't even respect you, bro. The person who shared his video with me, he doesn't even respect you. I don't know why you're so invested in his opinion.
Just use the term.
I think you should just use the term Indian. I don't see any problem with it at all.
Oh, I think they do.
I don't think so. Indians themselves call themselves Indians often.
Native Indians.
Indigenous people in the United States do not call themselves Indians.
Yes, they do. Just like black people call themselves black people, not African American. What are you talking about? Do you think that all black people call themselves African American?
This is a moot point, so I'm not going to...
No, but also as a non-black person, I would prefer to call them African American. I cannot call them what they call themselves. It's not respectful.
Well, you're the one who wanted to tell police to say that I had to say Native American instead of Indian.
I just want to chime in here, and all the men listening to this who are probably go to your girlfriends or you say that women nag so much. This guy, what he is doing right now, while she is being so civil and so polite, that is nagging, prime nagging.
So basically, I'm pulling up the matriarchs for you. And there are obviously a number of societies that have thrived, and there's a whole document, but in China, in Costa Rica, the Bribri people...
Yeah, name one. Any of them that you think is a matriarchy.
Okay.
A matriarchal society.
They have a society with an estimated 12,000 to 35,000 members. That is a matriarchy. And that is BRI, Bribri in Costa Rica. Or you could look at there's a Kenyan tribe, that's UMOJA, that are all matriarchies. They have women at the helm that are leading their...
While the Bribri tribe society is often described as matrilineal, it's not actually a matriarchy. Women are the heads of households responsible for passing down culture and land, but the men have the most important role as the authority officers of the tribe. They are the ones who defend, and they have chiefs too, male chief. That's not a matriarchy.
Well, I found a different article.
How is having a male chief, how does it automatically disqualify you from being a matriarchy? Don't we have female leaders?
Go back and forth all day.
Yeah, let's look at it.
So the Bribri, so this is the intercontinental cry. Bribri, I don't know if you speak Spanish, but Bribri un matriarcado moderno. So I speak a little bit, I'm not fully fluent. But anyways, and they're talking about how the clan structure means that tribal lineage is passed down through the mother.
Yeah, matrilineally.
Yes, but and also in the home. I know the difference.
But if something's matrilineal, doesn't make it a matriarch.
I know, but they're saying that women in this article play a primary role in government as well.
Yeah, but not. But see what you did there? You did a smuggle. They play a primary role in government. That doesn't make it a matriarchy.
Yeah, that's true, but he has been doing what he's accusing her throughout. Okay, not the matriarch. Pull up another tribe, please. Pull up another example.
But it's a system. Do you know what a matriarchy?
And just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean that it's wrong. Please.
Is that?
Yeah, it would be women broadly in charge of all of the
systems. It's a system of social structure where they hold a lot of power.
They hold the majority power.
And that's what
the decisions of the men are at their behest in any...
But that's what the article...
So, okay, when women would hold majority of the power, the decisions concerning men will be at the behest of these women. In a society where men hold majority of the power, they take decisions at the behest of women. And that is exactly the problem. You have very clearly stated the problem.
Just said the Bribri tribe. So I don't know. Again, I just found a different
Listen,
article. So,
any
like, I don't know if I should
matriarchy,
speak to like what's going on.
any
because
matriarchy that
I
I've
don't know.
ever investigated, which is supposedly a matriarchy, we find very quickly that men are in the prominent positions of authority on force, which means that any
What do you
matriarchy
think that
is
means?
living at the behest of the men. That's it.
So is your point that men are better than because they have brute force, or like what's your point that men should be in charge governmentally?
No, my point is not. I'm not giving an ought. We have to agree first to a descriptor. The descriptive truth
Right,
is
okay.
that it is in fact the case that women have to appeal to men for all of their
Wrong.
rights. Period. By your own admission, that
People who lack power have to appeal to people who have more power. If a society is structured in such a way that men hold majority of power, then most women have to appeal to most men. But also men who lack the same power have to appeal to men who have greater power. So the differential is power, it's not gender.
That's why you're trying to get them on your side. Because if you don't have them, they can basically cape women up if they wanted to. There's nothing women
Right,
can
but
do
that
about
doesn't
it.
mean that men are therefore better or should be in charge of equity. Like, what's the actual point, like the conclusion that you're making?
I already said why this point is wrong, and they are basically elaborating on the same point. So we'll just take a listen for a moment.
The point here is that men being in charge is obviously and clearly they're very benevolent because any time they so choose, they can lock all women up. There's nothing they can do about it.
Wow. The men in positions of power also probably are very benevolent because the fact that they're not eating all of us up, it's grace on their behalf.
And the reverse is not true, which is so interesting. You're literally at the mercy, women are at the mercy globally, and always have been, of men. And yet, we're monsterized and demonized by feminists. That's what we're literally
you're saying-
considered demons by feminists. You did it by your own admission today with your own stat.
Feminists don't consider men as demons. They understand that there is a lot of misogyny and humiliation and aggression that just by virtue of being a woman and a human being too, you have to face every day. That is what feminists don't like. It's not about men being demons, it's this kind of shit. How do you have the audacity to go to someone and tell them you are a second category human being? You are very clearly at my mercy. How dare you say anything to me? How, okay, if that's your thought process, but how are you so entitled that you go and you say this bullshit and then you don't expect any reaction? If you go and kick someone, are they not allowed to kick you back? This is what I consider entitlement. He has created an entire doctrine telling that women are second-class citizens. They are basically these pathetic dogs who are only alive because men let them live. And you say all this shit and you convince a bunch of other men of all this shit and you don't expect a reaction. Why the fuck do you not expect a reaction? If someone kicked you, will you not kick them back?
Trying to make yourself to be sexually assaulting monsters, didn't even know the counter stats.
Never.
Yeah, that's
What are the counter stats? What are the counter stats? I would love to know. I never claimed that men cannot be assaulted. Men can be assaulted. And you know who are the first people who say this? Feminists. That men can be harmed as well.
It appears to be, though, from the onlookers.
But he never gave the stats. He never gave the stats. Why did you bring it up if you didn't want to give it? What are the counter stats? Please tell us.
Perspective.
I feel like you have these generic like talking points that you try to apply to feminists, but I haven't like really been very reactive or calling names. I'm trying not to. I have, but
You have acted exactly like a feminist today, madam.
Really? His body language is screaming passive aggression. She is trying to be so polite, and I don't know why.
okay, but
Nobody's ever going to be confused about that at all.
right.
The whole.
This is exactly how a toxic boyfriend gaslights you, or a toxic girlfriend. Okay? This is like complete gaslighting.
I'm not
Snobbery
sold
towards,
on that.
the whole snobbery towards authority. You're going to do what I want. The finger clap thing. You did the whole feminist trope. The entire thing.
Snobbery towards authority being men. So your belief, your idea is that you should be allowed to say that men are second class citizens, women are second class citizens, and men own them, and you don't expect a reaction when you say bullshit like this. But when you do get a reaction, you call it, what did he call it? Like the whole feminist trope. How dare you not let me spit at your mouth? How dare you react? That is his entire thing.
But what I would like is a refutation here. Can you agree?
I feel like it's my time.
Can you agree that it is the case that women have to appeal to men for their rights and not the other way around?
I will not ever.
If you know what, this is such a hypothetical thing. If you have to prove this right, you have to just do it. Create an organization where all men decide to terminate all women as a monolith. All men come together and decide, and then when we are like before 2 seconds of my termination, I'm going to quickly change my colors and I'm going to be like, oh my god, I'm not a feminist. Just do it. This is like a Aladdin story. This is mythology. This what his argument is mythology. It's not even facts.
Agree to the fact that we should appeal to men for our rights. I think that's an inherently misogynistic question. Have to? No.
Okay, then where rights come?
Where do rights come? Where do your rights come from? Who gave you the right to colonize half of the world?
They should be inherent to every person, but again, I think I should be able to like read this. Okay, so give me a second, because again, like you just
No, but where did his rights come from? Can he explain? Because he's asking her where her rights came from.
A little bit insulting the last few minutes, so I feel like when that happens, it's just like a good change of pace is important. But
well, I do.
She is going into that fawn response, I feel, where she's trying to maintain the calm in the room and not create too much hostility. And I understand, but she's doing it for this guy, and this guy is just like exploiting that.
Need to keep it on the topic at hand, but
which again, where were we? Can you repeat the question?
Right, so ask you where rights come from.
Where did your rights come from? Why can't a man who's more powerful than you, who has more money than you, just get you killed? Where did that come from? Who makes sure that men who are more powerful than you don't take advantage of you and walk away with it? Well, at least in theory. Where did that come from?
where rights come from, if you can ask that.
Okay, but then I can speak more.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
can.
it's on force talking and rights.
Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Okay. Well, I think the fact that we're debating a topic that you came up with is a little bit strange, personally. But I was going to say that I think that rights are inherent. I think that they should be related to all people, just like the fact that we are human beings. We shouldn't have to appeal to any person for authority. And again, the fact that men are stronger, bigger, more powerful doesn't mean that they give or take away people's rights.
Gorillas are stronger and bigger and more powerful. In nature, human beings didn't survive as far as they survived because they were physically the most powerful creatures. And I never understand how people don't see it so obvious. So then gorillas should have all the power. What's the other? Chimps should have all the power.
I'm not religious.
We domesticate animals who are more powerful than us and who could kill us within seconds.
Necessarily, but I think if I was, I would probably tell you that I think God is the person that, relates and who gives people their human dignity and rights, but I think it's inherent. I think that we should all have
She's coming from a religious point of view, okay?
the right to live and be free of violence, and I think that those who offend and try to put people in cages, those are the people that should be jailed. Like, I don't think that that's
Does he say the same things about slavery? Does he say the same thing about the Holocaust? That a bunch of people inherently deserve to exploit and take advantage of another bunch of people? Does he? I'm curious. If anyone knows, please let me know.
a blanket statement.
Yeah. So you keep on saying rights should be inherent. That doesn't tell me anything about where rights come from. Where do rights come from? Where do we ascribe rights?
Well, I think that you're thinking very
The same place where your right comes from to not be run over by a man who makes 100K more than you, and that man gets to walk free and do whatever he wants with his life. That same place.
United States like government.
Because when societies are constructed, they are not constructed for bullies.
Anywhere. You pick anywhere on the planet, I don't care where you pick.
Okay,
where
so
are rights coming from?
They're coming from the set of people that are in charge, the government. And to your point, that's the patriarchy. However, I agree. So I concede to that point. However, I'm saying that does not mean that men, since they create the ability to give people rights and take it away, that doesn't mean that men it should be that way. It shouldn't. I don't know if that makes sense.
So men have been guaranteeing your rights the entire time you've been alive.
No, that's definitely not true.
Well, I don't understand. I thought that
Men who are more powerful than you have been guaranteeing your rights too, otherwise, they would just kill you. I don't want to make any personal comments, but someone stronger than him, or more muscular than him, or fitter than him, or someone who makes more money than him could do the same things to him that he claims men could do to women.
you just
But also,
said
like-
rights come from the government.
but also,
The government
like-
is the patriarchy. The
but-
patriarchy then is giving you rights, right?
Right. Like the government isn't inherently like the government is influenced.
So then by that logic, white people must have introduced the concept of freedom to African Americans. Because even though white people had taken it away initially, later they gave it, right?
By patriarchy, but it's not like all men making decisions like in the past it was.
Would you say it's mostly charged by men?
Yeah, but again, like I think that
Yeah, that's the problem. That's the problem. That's why we need feminism.
your points that you're making are very misogynistic. Like I think the point of what you're saying
No
is
shade.
like we should be grateful
I think the
to.
point you're making are very misandrous. I mean, that doesn't tell us.
Thank you. This girl has done nothing but fawned over him in the most respectful way, not fawned. She has tried to maintain decorum, and he is using insults over insults over insults. Women are surviving because men are merciful enough to not kill all of them. And then this lady goes like, no, but this is so misogynistic. And he's like, no, you are a misandrist. Why? Because you don't let me spit on your fucking face. So remember, ladies, if you do not let men spit on your face and exploit and abuse you, you're a misandrist. How dare you?
I don't hate men, so that's not a very
I don't
good
hate women.
insult. Okay,
You do, my love. And actually, it's not even hatred, like it's just your belief that another person is there for your exploitation and your use. And it's a second class thing. They are lower than you.
your question inherently is rooted in the fact that you think that there is male superiority and men are in charge.
Descriptively, men are stronger than women, yeah?
Chimps are stronger than men. So I say I choose a chimp over a man. If I have to go for someone stronger, I will go for the strongest guy.
Descriptively.
Yes,
You're not going to argue that point, right?
on average, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah, on average. Well, I mean, it's a strong average, though.
Sure.
Yeah, like, I mean, teenage soccer teams are beating, female pro player teams.
Now I want to say something. I have already said why this argument is absolutely baseless. But this might sound a little insensitive, which I don't intend on being. Throughout the world, more number of men take their own lives than women, which is a very sad thing. But will that qualify women to say, well, since majority of men have a higher tendency to take their own lives than a woman, men are actually mentally weaker than women, and therefore women should be in charge. It's the same thing. I don't see how it's different.
Right? So you agree that that's the case? Okay, great. So if that's the case, and we can agree, and you agree that the governments of the world are patriarchal, then you have to concede that the patriarchy is giving you your rights right now.
No. Again, repeating the same point again and again, which I've already said. If you take away someone's rights and then you give them to them because they are fighting for their rights continually, then you are not that benevolent God who's giving people.
Again, I will never concede that, and the reason why.
You shouldn't, but he's repeating the same point, so I will try to go here. They're still talking about the same thing.
The nature of being human, and there are certain entities and people and oppressive regimes that then come in and they try to take those things away from you.
Yeah,
Now, because
warning tribe theory.
because they give you those things, or
Warning tribe theory, I do not know, but his demeanor is extremely cocky. It's one of those men in the boardroom just using jargon constantly. Anyways, no personal comments, no insult intended, but he is insulting women for 15 minutes now.
because the government gives you the right to exist now, right? Doesn't mean it's a benevolent doesn't mean patriarchy is benevolent because it is currently giving me these rights, and I'm not like sitting and trapped in my house like I am
What
in
would
a
make
different
it
country.
malevolent?
So what would make it malevolent?
Yeah.
I think in places like
I'm
like
talking about here in
Afghanistan,
the United States,
well,
which is a patriarchy by your own admission, giving you rights. What would make it malevolent?
I think
I think going to someone and telling them that you are alive because we are merciful and we let you live is a good enough criteria that makes something malevolent. I think he should do like a check on ancestry. Again, not being personal, but unless you belong to a family of noblemen, kings or queens and nobility, whichever rights, whatever rights you have right now, they have been given to you from somewhere. You were not born into it.
That there are a lot of current things that are malevolent, like in legislation and things like that, that are, like attacks on bodily autonomy and like the overturning, like the Dobbs decision, or the
But you would consider your First Amendment a benevolent right, your Third Amendment, right, your Fifth Amendment.
I think these things are all inherent. Like I don't understand. Like just because it's written by the government doesn't mean that it should inherently be.
It can't be.
Benevolent.
That's a contradiction. You can't say it's inherent and the government gives them to us.
No, the government.
That's a contradiction.
How is it a contradiction? How exactly? So if it's inherent, okay, I see. If something is within you, the government cannot give it to you. Who creates the government? The government is created by human beings for a smooth functioning of society. So why is it so counterintuitive for you that the government works in a way that everyone should benefit, not just 50% of the population?
Government does, but it doesn't mean anything. Like we should already have these things. Like just like if I
How do you have them? How do you have them absent government?
You should just be able to walk around and be free.
How?
And
How do you have your right to not be killed right now by Mark Zuckerberg? I don't know. He is a lot more powerful than you, has several times more money than you. By your own logic, he should be able to do with you as he pleases, which billionaires are able to, but in very insidious ways. Through buying your data, through controlling social media. Most of them cannot come and kill you, and most of them don't want to, and the same applies to all power. Society is not created to benefit the most powerful, at least outwardly, at least obviously. Outwardly, it should not function in a way that only a few get benefited, otherwise it will not last long.
How do you have that without force? How?
I mean,
how is it even possible?
I think you're looking at it through a lens of like imperialism, and I don't think that like force was always necessary. It hasn't always been
Why are
necessary
you
to
saying
conquer
I'm
other
looking at it through a
people.
lens of, I literally told you my lens. A force doctrine, explained it
Right, but you're
descriptively.
looking at it.
Okay, I already said everything I had to say about it, and I'm just waiting for them to say something different.
Yes, but in that case, there have historically always been ways of punishing people who take those away. So the people who take them away
You mean
are
like
offenders.
a government? Go ahead.
Hold on, Jude. Go ahead.
The people who take those things away from you, if they don't decide to take it away, it doesn't mean that they're good, right? So like, it really
Yeah, not being a dick doesn't make you a very good human being.
horrible example that for a lot of women is true is if I am a woman and I have not had intercourse with anybody and a man is my friend and he decides that he's not going to take my virginity from me, does that mean he's a good person
This is going in a very
inherently by not
weird
assaulting me? No, it doesn't, because that should be the standard, right? And so if someone comes in and they take it away and then they tell me that they can or they can't in the future, right? That's essentially to me what you're saying is just because the government is giving me the right to walk around and have this conversation with you today means that I should be thankful and I should, not be concerned with things and that you guys are actually benevolent. The patriarchy is benevolent because I'm not in a cage because I'm not being assaulted.
Yeah, that's not what's being
So
said.
that is-
Anyway, can you answer my
What
question
is-
though? Where, if there's no government, where do your rights come from?
I think we've already known this. I think
No,
you've asked me
you
many
didn't actually
times.
answer. Listen, what you did.
I mean,
was
I already told you we have human
What?
dignity, so equal, right? Because I'm talking about a hypothetical
Literally
society.
any.
Okay, moral and human rights.
Yeah.
And for me, it's
Yeah.
rooted in the philosophical natural law.
Natural law is Catholic. You don't believe in Catholicism. You would have to have God to back up natural law.
Okay, but that is what I developed my beliefs around because I used to believe.
No, that's it. If you
Didn't
don't.
he,
if-
okay, stop. Didn't he develop his beliefs around this force of doctrine that he created? So why are you so cocky that someone else chooses to base their beliefs on religion? You have created a doctrine that is self-created by you, which you choose to base all your beliefs around.
To God for your natural rights, you're making a naturalist fallacy.
Okay, I
That's
see
a
that.
fallacious argument.
How
What
do you
is a naturalist? Is this in fashion now? Right now, this is in fashion, right? Just word salad. Just say stuff that sounds extremely intellectual. This is what I believe in, and it's not always true. But if you cannot express something in a way that is simple enough For most people to be able to understand without this word salad, then you yourself don't understand what you're saying. This is very annoying because by the time I understand what this means, he will have completed his argument.
I don't believe
Because you
that.
told me?
Okay, well, again, I think this is like a really ridiculous.
Why is it ridiculous? So where do you get your rights from if they're not from God?
Where do you get your rights from to not get killed by Mark Zuckerberg? Because with time, as human beings organize themselves in societies, they understood that societies cannot run on bullying. And that any faction of society that you try to systematically suppress, that faction will rebel. All rebellions, all revolutions in the world have been because of this. Everything political, not even gender based.
Okay, so again, I still subscribe to the human rights theory, which is the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. If we're not going to go talk about God or naturalism, right? Which is that every human being has universal, inalienable rights that are fundamental to each person. And so this is what the UN subscribes to and stuff like that, regardless of whether there's a government in place or not. So is that sufficient to you?
No, that's an axiom. So all you're just saying is, I think we have inherent rights because I think we have inherent rights.
I think we have inherent rights because we are human beings who deserve to be treated with compassion, love, and respect. And I don't think
She is making a circular argument according to him, and he is also making a circular argument because patriarchy equals to power, so you have to follow patriarchy to have power, but feminists fight against that. But we are powerful. Why are you fighting us? We could kill you.
you think that. So
Yeah, but
that's pretty wild.
the force,
It's not force per se.
all force,
Once
inherent rights for you.
Well, you're right. There is typically like a system in place of
Force,
It's not force
they are regurgitating the same thing.
per se.
all force, right?
But like,
anything that's
but
not
like, there's a
force.
way to like isolate those people.
I have a question. Do you think if you create society in a way where the more powerful, so people can secure power. In matriarchal societies, women will secure power, patriarchal men will, but it's not just that. It's also sometimes politicians have a lot of power, money gives you power, nobility has a lot of power, your connections give you power. Do you think ultimately humanity will benefit if we create a society where people with power openly bully people with less power? Do you think you will benefit? Do you think you are the apex predator and there is no man who's more powerful than you or no woman who's more powerful than you who cannot crush you with the same logic that you are saying men can crush women with?
With
Yeah.
what, force?
I mean, not necessarily. Not
What
every
else can you
arrest is made
isolate
through
with if they don't want to be
force.
isolated?
Well, not every arrest is made through force, right? Like
It's so funny to me that men, when they listen to this thing, they assume that men are a monolith. Like all men have the same motivation, they have the same direction that they want to go to, and as a collective, all men can victimize and bully women. But men are so great that they are choosing to not victimize and bully women. And you think if such a society was allowed to exist, you think as a man that you will be still protected from the bullying of other men who are more powerful than you? Or the lovers of those men who are more powerful than you? Come on.
Yeah, well, actually, all arrests are made through the implicit threat of force.
I mean, I don't really have much else to say.
Yeah, no, but
I've already like
it's a
clarified.
critique of your worldview so that we can
Should
understand.
I just hear implicit threat of force? Why does it sound like something that women live with all the time?
Who you're appealing to for these so-called rights you believe everybody has. In this case,
Sure.
it sounds like you're banking on force for men. True. Like what agency of government doesn't really?
Here, like,
Yeah.
like it's the army. It's not like if you're using force, right? The army is just male troops. So like you're saying male.
Yeah, there's women who aren't allowed in combat for the most part, almost ever, unless it's by accident, who are in the military as paymasters and things like this, but they're not the executors of force. There's not female armies being fielded.
Are these men fighting with their bare hands? Because this argument would make a lot of sense. Are these men fighting with their bare hands? This argument would make a lot of sense if men went and they were fighting with their bare hands. But since that's not the case anymore,
To
I mean,
protect
again,
people's
like
rights.
I'm not super interested in this line of questioning.
okay.